water found underground within the interconnected cracks and spaces of sediment and rock. When groundwater can easily move through and be stored in rock or sediment, it's called an aquifer. Here in the Mississippi-Rideau Source Protection Region, groundwater is used for livestock, irrigation of crops and golf courses, and of course, drinking water. Groundwater is typically extracted using a water well that is dug or drilled into the ground. Approximately 1.6 million Ontario residents rely on about 700,000 private wells for their drinking water. Unlike municipal water systems, private drinking water wells are unregulated in Ontario. Well owners are responsible for installing, testing, treating, and maintaining their own systems. What is a highly vulnerable aquifer? A highly vulnerable aquifer is an aquifer that can easily be contaminated by pollutants from human activities. About 90% of the upper aquifers within the Mississippi-Rideau Source Protection Region are highly vulnerable. Ultimately, the geology of the land and the depth of an aquifer will determine their vulnerability. Soils can naturally filter out or reduce contaminants, but this takes time. The faster water can flow from the ground surface to an aquifer, the more vulnerable it is to contamination. For example, bedrock aquifers covered by very thin or no soil are highly vulnerable. So are shallow aquifers made of coarse material like gravel. In our region, contaminants can move rapidly through cracks in the bedrock, which don't provide much filtration. So why is it important to protect highly vulnerable aquifers? When rain and snow seep into the ground, pollutants can hitch a ride. Once a chemical or pathogen enters the fracture network of the bedrock, it can move very quickly over long distances and contaminate drinking water wells, posing health risks. Removing the contaminant after it's released into the environment can take decades or even centuries, so prevention is key. Drinking water quality is influenced by what you do on the land. Many factors can increase the risk of groundwater contamination, such as local geology, extreme weather events, or poorly maintained wells, especially near recognized sources of contamination. These include agricultural runoff, landfill leachates, and private septic waste. Overall, contamination of groundwater can result in poor drinking water quality, loss of drinking water supply, and degraded surface water bodies. This can lead to high cleanup costs, the need for alternative water supplies, and health problems. So what can you do to protect highly vulnerable aquifers? You can properly dispose of hazardous waste, use non-toxic products for cleaning and personal care products, clean up pet waste, reduce or stop the use of pesticides, fertilizers, road and sidewalk salts, take care when refueling gas tanks, and conserve water during low water events. For rural residents using a well, it's important to take some simple steps to protect local drinking water for your family, your neighbors, and your community. These include protecting and maintaining your well through regular testing, inspection, and maintenance, keeping septic systems in proper working order with regular pump outs, properly managing animal waste on farms to limit runoff, and avoiding overgrazing, which can expose soil and increase erosion. But it's not just landowners who play a role. The provincial government is responsible for pollution regulation and defines land use planning rules that municipalities must follow. Local municipalities are asked to use their planning powers to keep new and potentially inappropriate land uses out of highly vulnerable areas. Nevertheless, new development is routinely approved in vulnerable areas. To protect Ontarians, provincial and municipal government agencies, community organizations, and landowners must all take responsibility and push for the protection of our groundwater resources.